After months of Jabari Walker being a touted Eric Brandt draft crush, and then with Jabari Walker looking good in Summer League, there was actually high expectations for the second to last pick in last year's NBA draft entering this season. Before we jump into things, let's thank the sponsor for this player review, BetOnline. Use the promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus as NBA playoffs are started and you can get in on that action with betonline.ag. Promo code BELIEVE, 50% rewards, BLEAV. Let's get into things. Jabari Walker played in 55 games, averaging 11 minutes per game for the Portland Trail Blazers this season. He averaged almost 4 points, extrapolated out to 12.5 points per 36, 2.3 rebounds, which is 7.7 rebounds per 36. With this, he surpassed my per 36 minute goals for him this season, which were 12 points per 36, as well as 7 rebounds. However, when you take a look at his efficiency, it was a bit disappointing. He shot 46% from 2 and a shade under 30% from 3. He had a true shooting percentage of 49.1, which shouldn't be a surprise when you're considering the 57th overall pick, but my goals for him going into this season were much higher in the efficiency department. They were probably too high. I had a goal of him shooting 50% from the field. He didn't come close to that. I thought with his cutting ability, offensive rebounding ability, he would be able to be pretty efficient, but I think there was one major thing that held him back in that regard that we will get into. I also had the goal of him shooting 36% on threes, and he looked like he was a good three-point shooter in college. He shot a decent percentage in his 2 years at Colorado, and I truly thought Jabari Walker could come in and be a good three-point shooter. However, 29.6% is definitely not that, so he failed that goal as well. But there were definitely some major positives from Jabari Walker's rookie season, the first of which is his rebounding. He was a really good rebounder in college, and on a Blazers team lacking rebounding, especially from the forward positions, the rebounding was the biggest positive for him. Almost 8 rebounds per 36 minutes for a rookie is pretty dang solid. He just has a nose for the ball. Some guys are able to figure out how to rebound at the next level or just have an innate ability to grab boards, and it seemed like Jabari Walker, who is a good rebounder in college, had that ability transferred to the NBA. A second positive was his late season shooting. Jabari Walker shot 39% from 3 over the combined months of March and April, and he seemed to finally develop confidence shooting the 3 ball in games that didn't matter much to the team. He didn't have that confidence to start the season, which is something that you see a lot from rookies, especially rookies that weren't drafted too highly and are fighting and clawing just to be in the NBA. Once the pressure was taken off a little bit, Jabari Walker started knocking down threes at a pretty high clip, and this has me hopeful that next season or in future seasons, once he's a little bit more comfortable with his place in the league, once he's a little bit more confident in his three-point shot, that Jabari Walker will actually be able to be a solid NBA three-point shooter. His late season shooting was what I expected from him going into the season when I set the goal of a 36% three-point percentage for him. So hopefully the late season shooting that we saw from Jabari Walker is something that will happen for the entirety of next season. The third positive is hard to quantify, but I truly think he's a smart basketball player. I think his decision-making and basketball IQ is pretty solid. He did have some moments defensively where he made some silly mistakes, but that is expected for a rookie. I do think offensively, he didn't try and force too many things this season. He didn't make too many mistakes. He took the right shots. He tried to make the right cut. Overall, I think he's a smart player, and I think that might be able to keep him in the NBA. And the fourth and final positive of his is his overall attitude. I think this dude is just a good guy to have around the team. Seems like a generally positive guy. Seems like a really good dude as well. And while that doesn't matter to a lot of people, I do think that is good to have in the locker room. And I do think his attitude on the court is good as well. He plays hard. He doesn't take plays off. So these last two things are more intangible based, but given the fact that he didn't play much this season and struggled especially to start the year, which is to be expected from a rookie, I do think these are things that will be positives going forward. Now let's look at areas which Walker can improve. Obviously, the efficiency was a bit problematic his rookie season, but I do like that he improved it as the season went along, and that does give me confidence going into next season. But 46% from 2 and 29% from 3 obviously is not good, especially from a front court player at the power forward position. So Jabari Walker just needs to make more shots next year. I do expect him to make more shots next year. The efficiency definitely should improve. The second negative was his overall shot creation. I didn't expect him to be much of a shot creator going into the league, but I think he showed a little bit less there this year than I expected. Now, I do think the next thing that I have on this list is a big part with that, but I think in general, he just needs to improve his ball handling ability, get a little bit lower to the ground when he dribbles. I think he's pretty upright when he plays off the live bounce. And then I would like for him to work on his floater more, work on being able to put his body into the chest of his defender and trying to finish off plays that way. And then if his shot continues to develop, I would like to see him become better at attacking closeouts and getting into the paint, finishing, or making that dump off pass for others. I do think he's a smart player, so I do think he has the ability to make the right reads when attacking closeouts. It's just all about getting that skill set to the point where he can consistently take and make the right shot or make the right play. The third thing that I've listed is probably the biggest area in which I think he needs to improve this offseason, and that is his overall athleticism and his body. He had one of the higher body fat percentages in last year's draft combine, and when we're talking about the best athletes in the world, it's nothing insanely negative or anything. It's just you're talking about guys that play basketball for a living. So I think his body still has room for improvement, and that, if anything, should make you optimistic because he definitely lacks NBA athleticism. But if his body was in great shape, then I would have less hope for that improving. I think if he slims down a little bit more, gets his body in a little better shape, that maybe he can be a little bit more athletic, and that'll definitely help him because athleticism-wise, there's multiple times where he'd drive and try and attack the rim, but just didn't have the bounce in order to finish around the rim, didn't have the explosiveness to finish around rim protectors, and he really struggled getting off the ground when there was contact or physicality. His first step as well is something that he should work on. That would obviously help with the shot creation issue, but I do think this was the main reason why Jabari Walker did not shoot a good percentage from 2, and it was mostly due to a lack of athleticism hurting him finishing around the rim in traffic. And then the fourth negative I had for him was his perimeter defense. I expected him to be a little bit better of a perimeter defender going into the season, as in Summer League, there was some impressive moments of him sliding his feet, staying in front of guards, being able to contain dribble penetration. However, he didn't do that as consistently as I expected in the NBA this season. Now, for a power forward taken where he was, this might be a little bit unfair, but I do think his role in the NBA is going to be as a versatile 3-and-D player, and in order to have that defensive versatility, I do think he has to work on defending guards and defending the perimeter better. Getting his body in better shape and becoming a little bit more athletic should help with this, because I do think he has the motor and the heart and the IQ, so being a little quicker laterally will help, and then also just getting reps guarding the best players in the world will obviously help as well, and that's just part of the normal development curve. So the two things for Jabari Walker to work on this offseason are obvious: his body and in part his athleticism, as well as dialing in that three-point shot. Should he make strides in both those areas, I think he could be a guy that could step in case of injury next season and probably not hurt the team. I don't think he's at the point yet where you can count on him being a part of a rotation for a team that is going to try and win games next year. However, he just needs to be a guy that you can rely on as an insurance policy in case of injury or suspension or whatever, to come into games and not mess things up, and if he's having a good game, to have a positive impact. Jabari Walker's contract for next season is a partial guarantee. He has $400,000 guaranteed out of a fully guaranteed $1.7 million. That becomes fully guaranteed on July 20th. So after Summer League, I would expect Jabari Walker back on this team next year. The only way he's not in a Blazer uniform, in my opinion, is if he gets traded, because I think he has too many positives for the Blazers to quit on him now. And I think he showed enough late in the season that I don't think the Blazers would cut him or anything. And in 2024-2025, he has a non-guaranteed contract worth $2 million. And then after that, he becomes a restricted free agent. So Jabari Walker is a low-cost role player that can fill out a roster spot that hopefully becomes a guy that can be a good third-string power forward. And maybe towards the end of the contract, you can slot him in as a second string. That remains to be seen. That would be optimistic. But if he can get to fringe rotation player status, that is good value for a guy taken with the second-to-last pick in the draft last year. My grade for Jabari Walker this season is a C. I expected him to shoot the ball a little bit better this year, but I do think my preseason expectations were a little too optimistic for him. I view a C as a middle grade, not negative, not positive, just kind of okay. And that's basically what Jabari Walker was this season. However, I still have hope that he can be a guy that is a good value given where he was drafted. So let me know what you would grade Jabari Walker down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of his rookie season. Let me know what you think he can be moving forward. I always love reading your thoughts on specific players, and I'm curious what you guys think of Jabari Walker after his rookie season. Once again, this video was presented by BetOnline. Use the promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus. That's BLEAV, and we are out of here. I'll catch you tomorrow in the next player review. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.